It's October football on a Thursday night at Kingston Stadium. The Cedar Falls Tigers are 2-2, but have lost a couple in a row and have not played since September 18th, a 20-13 loss to Dubuque Hempstead. The Washington Warriors are 3-2, also have lost 2 in a row after a perfect 3-0 start. The Tigers and the Warriors up next on MC22.
To Logan Wolfcamp, the 7-play 75 to A.J. Green, Marcus Orr doing a nice one with Dale O'Neill on the very next possession.
Welcome to Kingston Stadium, and we've got a good one for you tonight on a Thursday night. It's senior night for the Washington Warriors as they host the Cedar Falls Tigers. Good evening and welcome. Rob Brooks along with Jerry Koala. And Jerry, Washington got off to such a terrific start this season at 3-0. Lost a couple in a row, trying to get back on the winning track. And Cedar Falls, kind of the same thing. Started off 2-0, played 2 very good teams, now stand at 2-2. Didn't play last weekend and wanted to get that third victory. So build that momentum toward the playoffs.
A couple of teams here that really wanted to start getting back to where they were at the beginning of the year. And yes, the playoffs are just a couple of weeks away, so they got to be, trying to be playing the best football of their season beginning right now.
When you think about Cedar Falls, you think about a big offensive line and a terrific tailback, and it's another one for the Tigers, Ryan Ostrich. They rely on him heavily, and Coach Brad Remmert wants to get that running game going.
Ran for 1,000 yards last year. He's going to get that this year before the end of the regular season. He has his hands on the football quite a bit. He's a very hard runner, a very smart runner, and that offensive line does help him a lot to give him some alleys to run through.
One of the strengths of this Warrior team at the beginning of the season was a senior 3-year starter, Henry Clymer. Unfortunately, injured last week. Reed Ortiz, a junior, steps in there, his first varsity start.
Well, he's got a tall task in front of him here tonight, but, you just got to jump right in and get after it. I'm sure Mo Blue at Cedar Rapids Wash has put together a game plan that'll fit his skills. And in talking to Mo before the game, I know he was happy with the athletic ability of this young man, Reed Ortiz. He'll do just fine.
We're looking forward to it. Hope you are too. The Tigers and the Warriors up next on MC22. High school football on Mediacom MC22 is brought to you by McGrath Family of Dealerships, 5 Seasons Tire, the Tom Riley Law Firm, Collins Community Credit Union, Heartland Hearing Center, and by Extreme, powered by Mediacom. Welcome back to Kingston Stadium. It's the Cedar Falls Tigers and the Washington Warriors. The Warriors at 3-2, Cedar Falls at 2-2. Washington has won the toss and elected to defer, so it'll be Cedar Falls first as we take a look at the keys to the game. First off for Cedar Falls, Jerry, they want to get that ground game going.
Absolutely. Get Ryan Ostrich off to a good start. It's what Brad Remmert, whom we're looking at right there, wants to do is get that running game going. And then they're going to really get after Ortiz on that offensive side. They can't let Wash get on track with a brand new quarterback. And for Cedar Rapids, Washington, they really need perfect execution. With this new quarterback, they've got to execute every play as well as they can if they're going to have some success tonight. And then they got to, defensively, they have got to contain Ostrich. They cannot let him get loose.
Seth Moore, the senior place kicker for the Warriors, kicks this one short, and a good job on special teams. Racing down there is Jaden Harris. But still be pretty good field position to start for the Cedar Falls Tigers.
We know that wind is coming out of the northwest, Rob. It's 10 to 20 miles per hour. You get any kind of a kick, whether it's a punt or a kickoff or a field goal into that wind, it's gonna stand it up. And that's what happened on that kickoff, and that's why Cedar Falls has that great field position.
And Cedar Falls will have the wind here in the first quarter. Wind out of the north. A cool evening to start October football. Hunter Jacobson is the quarterback for Cedar Falls. Working out of the shotgun. Ryan Ostrich is right next to him. And a little misdirection play to Trey Campbell. That's one way to get those wide receivers into the game, as Brad Remmert told us, and Campbell could take it, and he does. First play of the game. Cedar Falls on the board. 66 yards.
That was a reverse play. They just influenced everybody to the left. We'll see it here shortly. And nice pitch from Jacobson, the quarterback, and it's to the short side of the field, and all the Wash defenders were going to that direction. And then you see the speed that Campbell has. He just runs away from everybody. That does kind of settle in into the flow of things for Cedar Falls.
Well, that's one way to get right back at it, as the extra point is good. So Trey Campbell, who's the leading receiver for Cedar Falls with 12 catches, gets his second rushing TD of the year on just his fourth carry.
Well, he had a great big alley to run through, and he just picks the right spot to get to it, and he hangs along the sidelines so the Wash defenders can't get to him quickly. That's just good instinctive running by Trey Campbell.
And good size at 6'4".
Yeah, he got nice stride. Look like he can run some hurdles. You know, I think Wash's defense, Rob, was they're so focused on Ostrich. Sometimes you forget about the other talent that they have. You just got to play assignment football to the best of your ability. You can't let those reverses happen. Defensive ends got to stay home until that ball crosses the line of scrimmage on the other side, and even the linebackers on this side, especially to the wide side of the field.
Holstein, Jake Holstein, the sophomore place kicker. Now 12 out of 12 in extra points this season. Stratton Furson kicking off. And on the move is Michael Blank, the sophomore. Several sophomores up on the varsity roster for the Washington Warriors. Coach Blue excited about that sophomore class.
They are. They've got some athletes coming up underneath. You know, it's been kind of a nip and tuck for Wash the last couple of years.
But this time last year they were 0-5.
Yeah. Yeah, so they've at least started off this season better than last.
And had that big victory week 2 against Kennedy. So Ortiz will hand it straight ahead to Jabari Dobbs. Dobbs will push forward for a few, had 50 yards against Davenport Assumption last week. Assumption came into Kingston Stadium and walked away with a 35-0 victory. As we take a look at the offensive starters for Washington, pretty good receiving core. Bjornson, Hare, Ross Carr, and Ortiz tries to plow forward, and he is driven back right at the line of scrimmage. Ben Burleson, defensive end position rush through there along with Riley Barnett.
Just collapsed down on that. He read the fake to the inside, and he noticed that Ortiz had kept the football.
Cedar Falls defense. Watch the three linebackers. The heart and soul of this defense. And there's another big tackle by Riley Barnett.
Well, they're pursuing well, and they went into the short side of the field, so the sideline becomes an extra defender for Cedar Falls, and they get to Reed Ortiz quickly. It's just a quarterback sweep out to the left side. Coach Remmer talked about those linebackers being the heart and soul of that defense. Barnett being the top.
So Blank will have to punt. First, a flag comes out. See if this will go against the Warriors, and it will.
21. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
Fourth down and 10 for
In
the
the last
Warriors.
2 weeks for Washington, it's been the opposition that has really gotten off to a good start. And the Warriors just a tough time matching the intensity. Don't want to have that happen here if you're a Washington Warrior. Tough kicking into that wind. Ball will be on the 32 after just a 21-yard kick.
Yeah, he's punting into a stiff wind. Wash just has to buckle in, buckle down, get those shoulder pads square, get across the line of scrimmage, make hits offensively and defensively. It's a 4-quarter game. They can turn it into a 4-quarter game.
Here's Ostrich up the middle. And a huge hole. And he could take it, and does, just about untouched into the end zone. And Cedar Falls, 2 plays, 2 touchdowns.
That one of 33 yards. You know, it's just, he just wiggles his way through the line of scrimmage, finds the openings. They're running a double tight, and so their splits are squeezed down a little bit from center out to tight end, center to tight end on the right end, the left side, and they're just driving their defensive linemen away, giving Ostrich plenty of running room.
Extra point by Holstein is good. 13 out of 13. Here, Jerry, still more than 10 minutes left to go in the first quarter, and already Cedar Falls with 14 points, and they've run 2 offensive plays. Wash has run 3.
Well, that's pretty good per play yardage. That's 99 yards. They're averaging 49 and a half yards per carry of the football. But, you know, they're a well-oiled football team coming in. They had a couple of, blemishes on their one-loss record, but that's not like Cedar Falls. I don't remember the last time that they lost 2 games in a row. I actually went back and checked, Rob. It was back in 2017, so it hasn't been too long ago, but it doesn't happen very often. And this is a football team. I saw them play against Prairie a couple of weeks ago, and Ostrich opened up the game with the opening kickoff, 95 yards for a score, and then Prairie just buried them for the next 3.5 quarters, although the score was 34-21. I think that was kind of a wake-up call for Cedar Falls.
Well, then Cedar Falls lost its homecoming game in the Unidome, 20-13 against a good Dubuque Hempstead team. Blank. He's got some running room. Oh, and he is crushed at the 30-yard line. Wow, what a hit.
Took him right off his feet. That was just a terrific form tackle by Stratton Ferson for Cedar Falls.
He kicked off.
Got a good beat on him. He'll have an angle on him. You'll see it. This is a good return for Cedar Falls. Got a nice block on the outside guy right here. Get those angle shots on those return men, those running backs or receivers. Take advantage of it.
But he's up and okay. So Reed Ortiz, the junior, first varsity start at quarterback. And a couple of yards up the middle for the Warriors. Thompson gets his first carry.
Second down and 7.
Miles Thompson, just a sophomore.
And he's got some players on that varsity. He's got to give him playing time. He needs to fulfill uniforms and get this team scheme going.
And Ortiz, first pass, and it's caught and then fumbled if the ruling stands. It was caught by Ross Carr, and then as he turned, lost the football, and it's going to be Cedar Falls with the fumble recovery.
Wow, that's an interesting play. Ross Carr was trying to turn to run. He caught it. I'm not certain that he had control of it for long enough to be able to consider it a reception. Well, I mean,
kind of started to turn upfield anyway.
And it got poked away from him. He had caught it. He just started to turn to run, and somebody reached in and grabbed him, knocked that ball out. So it was a bang-bang play. I would assume that he had enough time to make it a reception.
Austin Lean, it's the fumble recovery. And Ostrich still isn't on the ground. And finally, is gang tackled once he gets inside the 30 by Riley. Kevin Riley, outstanding linebacker for the Warriors. He had a terrific season last year, has 13 tackles this season. As we take a look at Cedar Falls starters, let's look at those offensive linemen. Take a couple glances at their names, and we'll give you their size here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Some big boys up front for the Tigers.
Certainly are.
Pickup of 9. And the ball batted away. First pass attempt of the ball game for Hunter Jacobson.
Jabari Dobbs does a nice job to go with the flow and reach out there, just tip away that football. Get a good look at Jabari there. Yeah, this offensive line, it's just a play action. Jacobson trying to buy himself some time, rolling out to his left. Had a receiver, would have been surrounded by 3 red jerseys, but Jabari Dobbs not going to have anything to do with it. Yeah, left guard at 6'5", 303.
Hutchins, the intended receiver, and now Jacobson under center. Straight handoff to Ostrich, and he rumbles forward. And that should be good enough for the first down, only needed a yard.
And they move the defense very well. That's Wheeland. You've got 3 players over 300 pounds in that offensive line.
Defensive starters for the Warriors. Watts McBride, number 21, a highly thought of sophomore player. He's had a bunch of tackles the last couple of weeks. Justin Sherman, tough inside the middle. Riley. It's a good Warrior defense. Bigger up front than they have been past several years. Little flare pass to Campbell. He's got some running room and gets to the 21, driven out of bounds by Riley Martin.
Martin does a nice job to get to him, but I think he kind of underestimated the speed that Campbell has. Got a different angle on him. The next thing you know, Campbell's around him, so Martin had to adjust his angle. Watch Martin will come from the right of your screen. Here's Campbell. There's Martin right there. He knew he had an angle on him, and all of a sudden, a couple of strides later.
Jacobson coming into tonight, 29 of 57 for 273 yards, has thrown 3 touchdown passes and been picked off twice. Ostrich, huge hole up the middle. Good burst and twists into the end zone for the 3rd touchdown of the night for the Cedar Falls Tigers. Ostrich now has 8 rushing touchdowns. That one good for 22.
Right up the middle they go. They just push off that offensive line, center, guard, 2 tackles, and they just open up the crease in the middle. And Ostrich runs nicely. He runs hard. You can see he doesn't even get touched till he gets to inside the 10. And then his momentum and his strength take him into the end zone.
Extra point is perfect by
Point after
Holstein.
good by number 37, Jake Holstein.
Stays perfect on the year. Ryan Ostrich, now over 800 yards on the season.
Just set up nicely. He's to the left of Jacobson, the quarterback, and of course it's over the top of the center. They either call it a 21 or a 41, and the offensive linemen just take their defensive linemen the direction that they want to go. And that opened up that alley for him to run through.
So it didn't take one play, it took 5 plays. So now Cedar Falls, they've run 7 plays, have 21 points on the board here in the first quarter.
And Ryan Ostrich, 4 carries for 65 yards.
Kicking off for the Tigers, number 8, Stratton Person.
And of course, Trey Campbell has the 66-yarder himself in the opening play of the game.
Well, after a Friday night no ball game for Cedar Falls, good bet this team was ready to get back on the football field. Watts McBride, and that's a fumble. And kicked into the end zone, still loose. Cedar Falls is on it.
It's going to be a touchdown.
And it's going to be a touchdown. What a job by Stratton Ferson, who had the big special teams hit the last time, now recovers a fumble in the end zone.
He gets hit from behind. He had a nice little running room. Gets through a couple of the blockers, and then he gets hit from behind and just didn't have security.
That was Riley Barnett with the hit. And then here's where you thought it might go, out through the back of the end zone. And then Ferson, senior defensive back, that has been huge on special teams.
Have no good. Score with 6:58 left in the first quarter.
Extra point is no good.
This is a first quarter timeout for hydration and sanitizing.
And they'll have an official's timeout. Washington has to say, what the heck happened? 6:58, first quarter, all Cedar Falls. Rob Brooks and Jerry Koala back at Kingston Stadium, southwest side of Cedar Rapids and Cedar Falls. We've seen a lot of games, Jerry, over the years. This is one of the best starts that we have seen in a while.
5 minutes has gone by, and already 4 scores for Cedar Falls. 3 of them offensively, and then again here on the most recent fumble on the kickoff return by Cedar Rapids, Washington, that got all the way back into the end zone, recovered by Stratton Ferson.
And Ferson kicks off. He's doing it all. Special teams, and he's out of the end zone, and the Warriors will have 1st and 10. Now if you're Reed Ortiz, he's only thrown 7 passes this year, 3 for 7 for 24. Has played some wide receiver this year, and was on the team, the varsity team, as a sophomore a season ago. Was the starting junior varsity quarterback. Also as a freshman quarterback the sophomores when Henry Clymer was moved to the varsity. He's out tonight. He's having a terrific season. And pass is caught by Ross Carr. And now Michael Blank inserted at the quarterback position.
It was a nice job to get off in that first play for him to throw a 5-yard pass to Carr.
Handoff to Jabari Dobbs. Got 4 rushing touchdowns this year.
You just got to keep surging forward, Rob. That's all you can do to play this game. Got to keep making those blocks, get up there in the line of scrimmage, make some yardage. Get that ball downfield, put some scores up.
So Michael Blank, sophomore, wide receiver, also backup quarterback, and he's got some running room. And shows off his stuff and gets out to midfield.
How about that for some wiggle room and some speed? Well, you saw him hit the jets when he got around the corner and saw that opening. He just dashes right through it. Here's just a read option. Does a nice job to keep it. He gets around the linebacker and gets a downfield block. You just see him explode through that little opening.
Blank had thrown 1 pass coming into tonight's game, but that's a pickup of 22, by far the best offensive play for the Warriors. And Blank will take off and pick up 4 yards, gets out of bounds.
It certainly has changed the complexity of Cedar Rapids Washington's offense at the present time. His speed, his agility, I think has kind of woken up Cedar Falls a little bit now that they're going to have to start playing a little bit more.
First time into Cedar Falls territory for the Warriors. Dobbs. Bulls forward for a couple.
It's interesting that there is a gap there when he gets the handoff 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, but by the time he gets to the line of scrimmage, it's already closed off. It just talks about the offensive lineman having to sustain those blocks and hold on to them, and Dobbs has to get that handoff sooner and get up to the line of scrimmage a little bit more quickly.
Eli Mickey, saw him, one of the defensive stars for Cedar Falls. 21 solo tackles and an interception this year. Blank now fires it, and it's almost caught by Ross Carr, who just about made a spectacular one-handed catch, but I think again wanted to turn upfield because he saw quite a bit of running room.
You know, it's hard to say whether he was turning a little too soon and he just got turned away from the pass. You'll see he's rolling out to his left, fakes a pass, and this time he doesn't. I think he just kind of threw Ross Carr off a little bit, but it was behind him. He had to try to turn around and make the catch, and he just was not able to do it.
And Blank will punt it. It's a pretty good roll, and now the ball is loose, but recovered by Cedar Falls. It shows you how tough it is to come up and field some of those punts. Nate G able to get on top of it after a punt of 25 yards.
Well, it's tough enough fielding a punt the way it is because of the oblong shape of a football, but throw a 20-mile-an-hour wind in there too, and then that ball bounces awkwardly. It's
and a few guys running at you. You're always paying attention to. Hunter Jacobson sends Hutchins in motion. Fires it across the middle. Hutchins dropped it. Those are the types of plays Brad Remmert wants to see executed. Wants to get the wide receivers, excellent athletes, involved in the game plan a little bit more. And here was a perfect opportunity. And nobody knows it better than Daniel Hutchins, who has 7 catches for 124 yards.
Came across the line of scrimmage, as you talked about, in motion. And those are tough players to try to guard, because then he goes downfield and cuts back across the field and wide open.
Ostrich turns it upfield. When he gets those shoulder pads heading north and south, that's where he is at his best, and that'll be good enough to move the chains. First down for the Tigers.
Well, just a sweep action to the left, and it gave Ostrich a chance really to find. You can see the left guard was pulling out the left, and he's just looking for some running room. Got some white jerseys locked onto some red jerseys. And he strung it out far enough because it was on the wide side of the field that he was able to get around that corner. Downfield for 11.
James DeGraft Moffitt with the tackle. Here's Trey Campbell again. This one isn't going to work so well. Read nicely by the Warriors. Riley Martin and Watts McBride.
Yeah, they converged on that quickly. They saw Campbell's speed in the very first play of the game, so they weren't going to let this happen again, and here he comes. So he himself just looking for some running room, and the Warriors do a nice job to fill all those gaps. And Riley Martin the first to get him. Barrel rolls him into the sideline.
Cedar Falls hasn't had many negative plays. Right back to Hutchins.
I'm mixing up your playbook here. They've done some running plays up through the middle. They've had a couple long touchdown runs for Ostrich and Campbell on the reverse. Now they come back on the 2nd down and 12 after the 2-yard loss. Just throw a quick hitch to the right side, gain back a majority of the yardage that they lost to make it a manageable 3rd down.
Harris had him wrapped up. Watts McBride able to finish off Hutchins. And it's something Cedar Falls hasn't faced much. 3rd down. Jacobson going to make something out of this and get out to the 47-yard line. And that's going to move the chains. And boy, if you feel that you're the Washington Warriors, you've had a couple opportunities with the ball loose and haven't been able to get it.
Well, you just know you got luck on your side. That ball bounced right back up into the hands of Jacobson after he just dropped it on the snap. And he does a smart thing just to go back to the line of scrimmage, get back there as soon as you can, and he found some running room. Picks up 10 and a 1st down.
Ostrich, a little delayed handoff, and Watts McBride fills the hole nicely. Tackles Ostrich at the 50.
Good read by McBride. That was a delay as a draw. Again, Cedar Falls is lining up in a double tight formation with flankers on each side. We don't see that very much because of the spread offenses that we're used to seeing from a lot of these football teams. But Cedar Falls does a nice job of getting some good blocking. Even on a delay like that, after a couple of seconds, there's still some room to run through. This talks about their execution and the play by McBride.
Off play action. Jacobson, nothing, and he is sacked by Riley.
I think his receiver was too far downfield for him to be able to throw it to him. Running that pattern down there for Cedar Falls was Caden Jansen. It's a bootleg action to the left side, and you can't see Jansen, but he's already about 30 yards downfield, and there's really no way that Jacobson could get turned to the line of scrimmage and put one up in the air to let him run underneath it, so he had to take the sack.
And a terrific job by Riley. There's the draw by Jacobson. And he'll be short of the 1st down. Max Bjornsson, the senior, comes up and makes the stop.
Well, you got to credit Cedar Rapids Washington with playing some pretty good defense on that possession of Cedar Rapids or of Cedar Falls. Forcing the Tigers to have to punt here.
First time tonight. Flags. And that'll back up Cedar Falls 5 yards. Ferson set to kick it away. Oh, and he booms this one. Easily gets into the end zone, almost landed in the end zone. 53 yards.
Got a little leg into that one, didn't he?
Sure did.
Get a little wind behind him.
He's pretty pumped up tonight, I think.
Quite a game. Making tackles on that kickoff team, recovering fumbles in the end zone. Must have been Stratton Ferson Day at Cedar Falls High School today. I think we need to credit Cedar Rapids Washington's defense to finally coming alive and keeping Cedar Falls from being able to run easy plays for long distances and scores on that possession.
Looks like he's got a little gold back of his shoes. Looking pretty good. 1st and 10 for the Warriors. And now Ortiz back in there and throws this one high across the middle, intended for Bjornsson.
Well, Cedar Rapids Washington's a version of the bootleg pass, and Ortiz was able to get out to the left side. Cedar Falls had it covered kind of nicely.
Second down and 10.
You see the fake there. He's rolling out to his left. Boy, you turn and you look for those receivers right now. You know, you got a tight end coming across the middle about 7 yards deep, and then you've got, you know, a receiver running either a deep out or a deep flag route. Usually it's successful.
Ortiz, an outstanding baseball player, starting catcher for the Warriors, makes a nice move at the line of scrimmage and will pick up some positive yards before Jordan Hepner able to bring him down.
Boy, did you see him sidestep Eli Mickey? Watch this. Right inside of him.
Third down and 2.
I believe for 6 or 7 more yards.
Little shake at the line of scrimmage. So Ortiz, after having the last series off, back in there at quarterback for the Warriors. 12 minutes complete. What a first 5 minutes it was for the Cedar Falls Tigers. See if the Warriors can get some offense going. We'll be back on MC 22. Chilly night at Kingston Stadium, full moon, clear, crisp October football. Hasn't bothered Cedar Falls a bit.
Nope, everything's in line with them tonight. Quickly off the line of scrimmage and into the end zone a few times.
And the Warriors busting forward to try to get a first down, and there it is. Ortiz just carries for 3, needed 2.
Well, I think Wash is kind of finally starting to get up, pick up some steam here. Wake up, realize that it's a 4-quarter game. They can't put it to good use.
Ortiz rolls to his right, across the middle, and almost picked off. Jordan Hepner got one hand on it.
Well, there were only 2 receivers in the pattern. There was 4 white jersey defenders. So I think Ortiz just tried to pinpoint this pass into Bjornsson, and the underside linebacker was there to tip it up in the air. I think Wash can feel lucky that that pass was not intercepted.
Cedar Falls has intercepted 7 passes this year.
But you can't be afraid to come back and run that play again, you know, because use the wide side of the field, roll out.
And right up the middle is Thompson. Turns the corner. And then run out of bounds at the 40 by Ratliff. So the sophomore Thompson for 28 yards.
And a mix-up in the backfield for him to get the handoff there. And so it just shows how well the offensive line opened up that hole for him to run through. And he showed some good wheels, some great speed.
And some good vision. Knew when to break that outside. Thompson again. And this time, get it taken care of by Wilson right at the line of scrimmage.
Well, trying to do a little misdirection play to throw off the white jerseys, and they didn't really buy it much. Kind of an awkward alignment for Cedar Rapids, Washington, so to keep Cedar Falls from kind of knowing what they were going to be doing. And Thompson took the handoff, just didn't have anywhere to run.
We got a Cedar Falls player down. That's Riley Barnett. Those outstanding linebackers for Cedar Falls. Got 16 solo tackles and a couple tackles for loss.
He's been on a few plays already here tonight. Well, it's good to see him at least walking off, but no one knows the extent of the injury, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's done for the rest of the night.
Barnett, a 5'11" junior. Eli, Mickey, Barnett, and Hepner, the 3 linebackers for the Cedar Falls Tigers.
You really rely on those linebackers to make a lot of your tackles. Those defensive linemen are there just to fill gaps, tie up offensive linemen, and those linebackers got to search and seek those running backs where that football is going, and they have to react and get to, you know, your lateral movements. I mean, you know who Jack Campbell is from a couple of years ago, who is just a tremendous inside linebacker.
And now at the University of Iowa, Thompson up the middle, runs into some traffic and shoved back by Wilson.
I'll tell you who was really instrumental making that play for Cedar Falls was Evan Schenkelberg, left defensive tackle position. Watch him penetrate into the back and make Thompson cut back right there. He doesn't let him get to the outside, and just runs right back into pursuit. So what could have been a bigger gain than a -1 yard is now a -1 yard play.
Landon Shaw has come in replace of Barnett at that middle linebacker position, 5'8" senior. 3rd and 11. Warriors trying to keep this good drive alive. Ortiz looking deep, Couldn't find anybody downfield and swarmed under by Wilson and the Cedar Falls defense.
Well, you got to admire the guts that Ortiz has to stick in that when he rolled out, because he was surrounded by white jerseys. He was looking for somebody to throw to, and either they stopped running their patterns and were around white jerseys, or they were actually covered very nicely by Cedar Falls, and Ortiz was able to get back to the line of scrimmage, fortunately.
So blank. Nice high punt. Cedar Falls will stay away from the football, and it takes an advantageous roll for the Washington Warriors.
I think it hit one of the Warriors.
Well, Maurice Blue, the head coach of the Warriors, is certainly pleading his case, signaling that on the Warriors sideline.
There was a Washington Warrior and Cedar Falls Tiger that they were kind of tussling with each other. The market at the just shy of the 16-yard line.
Coach Blue in the red sweatshirt. Terrific player for the Warriors after a 26-yard kick. 1st and 10 for Cedar Falls. And the keeper by Jacobson. Tries to bounce it outside, and he gets to midfield. Another explosive play for Cedar Falls, 44 yards.
Just the lead option to the left. You see the defensive end will make him cut it back up the middle, and he finds a lot of running room downfield. They've shown a lot of speed. Turning up a lot of yardage.
Chase Mahoney, sophomore linebacker. Good hustle on the play to make the tackle. And the whistle.
Full start. Offense. Number 89. 5-yard penalty.
That'll back up the Tigers 5 yards.
And they've had 3 penalties of illegal procedures tonight. You know, every coach looks for some kind of an aspect of the game that they need to work on. They've been very perfect up to this point, except for 3 personal or illegal procedure penalties.
Brad Remmert, see his record. Ostrich to the 45. And of course, Jerry, you can't broadcast a Cedar Falls game and not miss Coach Pat Mitchell on the Tigers sideline.
He certainly is one that I think of every time I think of Cedar Falls. Number one, he spent
Cedar Falls
his
football
entire career there, and number 2, he had tremendous success.
and just a terrific guy. I know the Cedar Falls community misses him dearly. Little swing pass to Ostrich. Got good hands out of the backfield.
So what makes him so dangerous is he is so versatile. You know, we've seen him run the football with a lot of success now. He's just swinging out to the left side. And Jacobson does a really nice job to look downfield to keep the defense at bay, keep them off of the swing pass to the left, and at the right moment gets it out to the left side to Ostrich, and he's got a lot of running room. Pick up a first down.
Doesn't catch a lot of passes out of the backfield, but typically successful when he does. Averages 18 yards per reception. Low snap, Jacobson just takes off. It's some good blocking out front and inside the 30.
Well, it messed up the timing between him and Ostrich, and I'm not sure whether it was going to be a read option or if it was going to be a strict handoff. But nevertheless, because it was low and it threw off the handoff, Jacobson does the right thing just to pick it up and run to the same part of the offensive line that Ostrich would have gone to. Picks up enough yardage just short of a first down.
Watts McBride, another stop. Second and 2 can do about anything inside the 30-yard line. Here come the Warriors. Jacobson not afraid to take off and run, and he'll get the needed yards to move the chains.
Boy, it's amazing because he had McBride chasing him from the backside. He just runs away from him. You see Jacobson get flushed from the pocket back there. I guess that was Martin that you had mentioned. And, he had enough running room to his left because the receivers had taken the defensive backs downfield, giving him some cushion.
And Jacobson just a junior.
They had an excellent quarterback the last 2 years in Cale Lesher. He had some excellent wide receivers to throw to. Wolf for one.
Ostrich tries to hit the corner turn. Didn't have a lot of room, but was able to make something out of it before he was shoved out of bounds by Jabari Dobbs.
It's just interesting that Martin is following him just on his heels, but can't get a grip on him. Watch this. Here's the handoff to Ostrich, and you'll see Martin come into the picture right here. Just can't quite get him because of the speed and ability of Ostrich.
Jacobson, plenty of time, and throws it in the corner of the end zone, and that is caught. A touchdown. What a grab by Caden Jansen.
We're going to credit Jacobson with that too, because he set it up nicely, allowing Jansen to get to that point of the end zone, get his feet planted, and throws a dart right at him, right over the top of the defensive back. You see Jacobson rolling out to his left. He's looking, he's waiting. Now I'm going to throw it.
That's a good pass, rolling to your left.
Doesn't get any more perfect than that.
If you're Jacobson, 21 yards, and for Jansen, just his third reception of the year, his first touchdown. Extra point is good, and Cedar Falls up 34-0. Warriors football when we come back. Welcome back to Kingston Stadium. Rob Brooks and Jerry Koala. After Cedar Falls scores again. This time, 7 plays. That's feels like a month's worth of plays. 7 for 84.
And the thing about Cedar Falls is, Rob, they got to continue to run their plays and execute them, because they've got postseason in mind, and they certainly want to go deep into it because that's what that program is used to.
And already have lost 1 game this season. Could not play Iowa City High. Blank. Beautiful return out to the 43.
So there's an amazing amount of speed. But Washington doing a nice job just to give him a couple of blocks so he can get through that first wave of defenders. To get a nice return, picks it up off the roll nicely. And he does a nice job, because I think the return, set up in the middle, you just look for daylight, especially when you pick up the ball well away from where your initial line is blocking.
Case Seeger makes the stop for the Tigers. Ortiz in there at quarterback, and he keeps it. Nice fake up the middle. to Dobbs. Ortiz only for one. Everybody filled the gaps for Cedar Falls.
Just a read option. That's just great reaction by the linebacker, Jordan Hepner. Didn't buy the fake to Jabari Dobbs at all. You know, I talk a lot about when you're running the option, you've got to hand that ball off. Hand it off, hand it off, hand it off, hand it off, and then pull it and run the rest of the option.
Ortiz looking deep and fires it, and it's picked off. Nate G didn't have to do a whole lot for that one.
I threw it right at him. It was in front of Ross Carr a little bit, too far. See Ortiz sitting in that pocket.
Ross Carr in the neighborhood. So the 8th interception of the season for Cedar Falls.
Well, that's unfortunate. You know, Wash kind of started to build up a little steam for their offense, moving that football. Got to go through a turnover. He's got to play solid defense here.
That defense now has been on the field much of this second quarter. And up the middle for Cedar Falls. Carter Ernst, his first carry.
You got to give your backups, you know, some reps as well. Certainly don't need anybody injured.
Second and 7. Jacobson wants it all, and it is incomplete. Looked like right through the hands of Trey Campbell. He can't believe he didn't come up with that football.
Yeah, too soft of hands. He ran past the defensive back down that right sideline, and nice delivery by Jacobson to loft it, throw it up into the air so he could run underneath it, and Campbell just too soft of hands, doesn't pull it in. Oh, I see. It was a lead option. Fake is what it was to draw those linebackers and allowed Campbell to race down the field. Now we've seen how fast Campbell is. Just right down the front of his jersey.
Boy, beautiful throw. Harris was there for the Warriors. Back on the ground for the Tigers. Hepner, his first carry, came in at the middle linebacker position when Barnett went out.
You can see that offensive line for Cedar Falls at those 300-pounders.
Watts McBride on the stop. Ty Tompkins, 6'4", 301. Number 73. Jacobson keeps his eyes downfield and then slides to the 45, close to a first down. Well, you can buy some time, can't he?
And he does that very nicely. He used the wide side of the field. He was looking for a receiver to get open, and as he's doing that, he's kind of inching his way downfield. And once he gets to the line of scrimmage, he knows right where he's at, and he just takes off and picks up 8 yards. You'll see him rolling. He's looking for somebody to throw to. No defender to force him, and so he tucks it and runs when he knows he gets to that line of scrimmage. You know, Cedar Falls having their way here tonight.
Just got the momentum early. Jacobson wants to go deep, has a receiver that got behind the defense, and it's caught. And that's going to be the first reception for Aiden Sorensen, his 4th of the year. And he just kind of floated behind the secondary for the Warriors, and this was kind of running around, hey, I'm open. And Jacobson extends this play.
Those are the hardest plays to defend. You know, you don't, as a defensive back, you can't be influenced up, no matter what the quarterback's doing behind the line of scrimmage. And that's what happened. Receiver is able to get behind the defensive backfield.
Ostrich back in there for Cedar Falls, and he plows his way inside the 10. McBride, another tackle.
See right up the middle. Delay action. Ostrich has run that play dozens of times, if not hundreds of times. Knows right where to go and right what to look for.
And movement up front. That'll go against Cedar Falls. Roman Young, junior linebacker, comes in for the Warriors. Little slip pass again to Sorensen. And Cedar Falls does it again.
We'll use the play action, the read option, and then all Sorensen does is just slip off the line of scrimmage from the tight end position. Nobody picks him up. You'll see him right here through the wing. Nobody stops him.
Made a nice grab.
A little sidearm pass by Jacobson.
Sorensen, 6'2", 200, just a junior. Extra point is good. Jake Colstein. He missed one so far this year. Tigers make it look easy, don't they, Jerry?
They really do. They execute, nicely. They put together a nice game plan. They, of course, certainly have the experience and the skills to be able to do that. But systematically, Rob, it's year in and year out. They know what to expect once they get there. They, when these guys were in junior high, they were watching those high school teams that were being very successful, and they were, biding their time, making their way forward to become that very next, solid, successful program, and that's where they are.
Most points put up this season by the Tigers already. Previous high was 39 at Waterloo West.
I don't think there's any question that Brad Rimmer got the attention of his football team. They missed the game last week, and they were able to put together this game plan. You play Wash, you're playing good athletes, you're playing a good program, you got to come and play. And I think, obviously, this is the best that they've played all season. That was 7 plays and 65 yards.
That's back-to-back 7-play scoring drives. Cedar Falls will close with Linmar next week in the Unidome.
The Tigers are successful in 5 or 6 of the possessions that they've had here tonight, Rob. 1 punt, their first 3 possessions were 7 plays and 3 touchdowns.
Blank back in there at quarterback. Maybe a yard. Talk about what this offense lost with Henry Clymer's injury. Outstanding senior quarterback, as Blank just has to throw this one away. Clymer, Jerry, 51 out of 97 for 618 yards. And had 5 touchdowns, and obviously it was a huge asset in that big victory over Kennedy earlier this season at 28-21, where Washington built a huge lead and then hung on in the second half as Blank motors to the 41.
Well, losing him took him out of sync completely. And the
that's
leadership.
That's a 3-year starter.
And the leadership that he provided for that football team out there. Now you got to recover from that as much as you can. You guys are they're young athletes, so you got to be able to adapt with them as they are adapting to play without their team leader.
That ball came loose too. Mike did a good job to fall on it. Wilson, he's really been outstanding in that defensive front, which was a question mark coming into the season for Cedar Falls. Lost a lot of good ones a season ago. Mike punts the ball, and Cedar Falls will wisely let the football come to rest at the 32 as time expires in the first half after a 27-yard kick. Cedar Falls, one of the best starts you'll see in a football game. Lead at 41-0 at the half. We are at halftime, Kingston Stadium, as Cedar Falls leads the Cedar Rapids Washington Warriors 41-0. Let's take a look at the highlights, Jerry, and probably go all the way back to the first play of the football game.
I think it'll work that way. Here's Trey Campbell with a reverse that he just takes down the right sideline, and no Warrior able to get to him. He races past everybody into the end zone for a 66-yard score, the first play of the game. Cedar Falls would come back on their very next possession and score on a 32-yard touchdown run by Ryan Ostrich. Wash completing a pass to Ross Carr, but he has it poked away from him and recovered by Cedar Falls. That turns into this 6-yard touchdown run for Ryan Ostrich, the All-State senior running back. On the kickoff return, McBride for Cedar Rapids Washington has the ball popped away from him, and they kick it around a little bit till it gets all the way back into the end zone. And who was there to recover it for the score for Cedar Falls is Stratton Ferson. And Cedar Falls up 27-0 at this point, but they continue to churn up the yardage. They got to continue to run plays. And here in the back of the end zone is a touchdown pass to Sorensen covering 17 yards. And here's another one to Sorensen on that right side. He gets into the end zone for another score. They just continue to put the points up on the board, churn the yardage on the football field, and you can see the total yardage difference for Cedar Falls over Cedar Rapids, Washington.
Yeah, 242 yards rushing. When you do that in almost 4 quarters, you're almost guaranteed to win a high school game in a half. Things are going pretty good, over 300 total yards. Warriors have struggled offensively for now 3 games in a row, as they have not scored a point for 12 quarters, and will certainly try to get some momentum going offensively, especially in the second half. And 3 turnovers have hurt the Warriors as well, and Cedar Falls has capitalized on those. 41-0. Cedar Falls, third quarter up next. Warriors will receive the kickoff to start the third quarter. Fans that made it down from Cedar Falls all the way down to 380. Having a good time, as they should be.
Absolutely. been a delightful first half for Cedar Falls. They've done everything they wanted to do. Running the football, of course, and mixing in some pass.
And the tough thing now, Jerry, I'm sure Brad Remmert addressed it at half. Let's keep the intensity up. Let's keep going. Let's not play one good half of football and a sloppy half, which sometimes can be tough to do. And if you're the Warriors, you just try to come out and make something happen, especially offensively.
Can't look at the scoreboard anymore. You just got to line up and play.
Blank, who's had some terrific returns, and has done a good job with a couple series at quarterback.
Yeah, Blank
to the 25.
Yeah, Blank really is an effective quarterback. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of him.
And just a sophomore. 6 sophomores listed on the varsity roster for Washington.
Playing 4A as a sophomore is very difficult
From their own 25.
on the varsity, but playing varsity and as a sophomore anywhere isn't that easy. You really got to mature and be able to handle each of those plays.
Ortiz, little rollout pass and caught by Max Bjornson, the senior.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we see here throughout the second half. I mean, they're just going to have to get after it and run plays and use and call plays that are to the strengths of the skills people. I guess they call that incomplete.
First rule to catch. Officials got together and made the decision that the ball bounced on the turf.
Yes.
It'll be 2nd and 10.
As far as Cedar Falls goes, I'm seeing they'll be intense here through this third quarter, and then we'll be seeing their seconds and thirds.
Ortiz tries to take off, and he is wrapped up at the line of scrimmage.
Still trying to establish that running game.
Schenkelberg, junior defensive lineman.
You got to be able to run the football. Everybody's got to put a shoulder pad on somebody, and there was a couple players that really weren't. It's a physical game. There's no question about it. That's what it's meant to be. He's got to start knocking shoulder pads.
Ortiz fakes short, look deep, now has to take off. And gets hit out of bounds, but first down yardage.
Nice run by Ortiz, escaped from the rush in the pocket, and there was no support to the outside. He was able to run towards that right sideline first down marker, pick up the first down. You see he's looking for somebody to throw to, and they're just not open. He shows some good wheels. Just to the outside the sideline.
Ortiz again and overshoots the intended receiver. That was Blank.
You got to just hang in there, Rob. Everything's not going to be as well as you'd like it to be. And he's a backup quarterback with limited playing time and no starting experience except for tonight.
Played some wide receiver. Jabari Dobbs. Good run up the middle. Good tough run by the junior. Good size at 6'1", 180.
Just a simple handoff dive right up the middle. As I watch that offensive line for Wash, they've got shoulder pads on people, and they're in front of them where the running back can find the gap to run through.
Ortiz. Let's go. And this time caught by Blank in Cedar Falls territory.
Let's keep the surge going. Rolls out to his left, and Blank just runs a little hook pattern. Enough for a first down.
And the Warriors going quickly. Dobbs. 2 tough yards. Schenkelberg in there again.
Those aren't very easy at all.
No, they're not.
But Wash has mixed it up nicely to get the ball to where it is at this point. Just keep mixing it up and execute those plays.
Ortiz fires. It's caught by Bjornson, and he makes a move and gets the first down.
He's just ran far enough to get the first down. He went 8 or 9 yards, and he does a little curl out as you see Ortiz rolling to his right. He's got a couple of receivers to pick from. Bjornsson just happened to be the one that he finds.
8 catches, 82 yards coming into today's game, and this one put up for grabs, and it's going to be picked off. Nate G gets another one. That's his 3rd of the season.
I know Ortiz was trying to make something happen here. Sometimes you're just better off throwing it out of bounds, getting rid of it, because there were 3 white jerseys down there with 2 red jerseys. It was a down, out, and up. And I guess it may have slipped right out of his hand.
Yeah, Blank running a double move. Cross car down there, but Tigers came up with the football.
Cedar Rapids Washington ran 9 plays on that position, Rob. They started back on their 25, made it all the way to the 37 of Cedar Falls. So certainly they're making some momentum. Got to keep building for the future.
So Cedar Falls, backup quarterback Andrew Wickner in. Tigers just plow forward.
Yeah, they're not going to do anything extraordinary here. I would be surprised if we don't ever see a pass thrown.
Senior backup quarterback Andrew Winker. And nowhere to go for Carter Ernst.
Watts McBride does a nice job to crash
He's
down.
He's a good tackler, boy. He sticks
outside.
His nose in there.
Throws him for a loss. You'll see him coming from the top of your screen. Here's the handoff, and he meets the running back right there. Nice job by the running back to be able to hang on to that football and try to make some kind of extraordinary move.
Ernst with just his 2nd carry tonight. Ernst fighting for extra yards and then hit by Riley.
Into that short side of the field where that extra defender is there with that sideline. Allowed Wash to pursue it. See those red jerseys running right past those potential blockers. And getting to Ernst.
What do you think about Jacobson and Ostrich? Campbell, Hutchins, some of the starters. As timeout will be taken by the Warriors with 4:28 left to go in the 3rd. Say, hey, I'm not done playing tonight. We haven't played in a couple of weeks, so want to get out there. But we'll see. Might be done for the night. Timeout Warriors 41-0 Tigers. Washington Warrior cheerleaders on senior night. Warriors at Prairie, so their final game here at Kingston Stadium. end-over-end punt. And it's a good one. And Jorgensen, after a 62-yard punt, driven to the ground at the 35.
Did a nice job to zero in on that. Got the right hop, couple of small rolls, and then it bounced up into the air for him to camp underneath it and get it. And of course, then he has a lot of room to work with to try to make a return. Cedar Falls converged on him quickly.
Ferguson with another terrific punt. Special teams player of the game for sure. Ortiz.
Encroachment, defense, number 92, 5-yard penalty.
That'll be a 5-yard penalty against Cedar Falls.
Those are things that can hurt them. You know, you get in later stages of the season. Learn how to discipline. Just watch that football. Quit listening to the quarterback.
Ortiz going to a hard count. And the handoff to Ross Carr, and he's immediately hit.
That was a bull rush on the outside. He didn't have anywhere to go.
That's Schenkelberg again. Pretty active up front.
See how much Brad Remmert is beginning to insert his second teamers.
Thompson. Had some nice runs in the first half.
So some good wheels in what he was doing. Cedar Falls is just collapsing down when they see the handoff coming. Those defensive ends are just shoving the offensive man away and just collapsing down to keep the running back to a short gain.
Stover and Shaw on the tackle for the Tigers. Ortiz across the middle, and a terrific catch in traffic by Michael Blank.
Well, you don't think that wasn't a pinpoint pass either. I mean, he threaded the needle on this one. You see it coming right at you in your living room. Look at the 3 white jerseys there right there. I mean, that's the only place he could have put that pass.
Hansen got him to the ground. Great concentration by Blank. Ortiz to Bjornsson, and he twists for a first down.
Well, you're seeing what's being successful for Cedar Rapids Washington offense. It's a rollout. It's the quick passing for short gains that you might want to turn into big gains that hopefully at some point you might be able to get a little nice running attack going.
And Bjornsson again across the middle, and digging for first down yardage will be a little bit short. Landon Shaw makes the stop.
They're quickly getting up the line of scrimmage, kind of changing the pace of the game.
Did that effectively on the last drive. Another penalty on Cedar Falls. There's 2 encroachment penalties on this drive.
Well, there are, these got some substitutes in there now, so, and they're not really focused, concentrating on what they should be doing.
Thompson up the middle. And he'll back his way for about 5. Wilson, another stop.
Well, this obviously is the best possession that Wash has had all night long. Or as deep as the penetration has gotten.
Ortiz lofts it up deep in the end zone, and it is incomplete. Ross Carr was out of bounds and thought he was interfered with.
Hard to tell. You see the play action. Ortiz rolling to his left, now just lofted up into the air. Well, yeah, there was a little bit of contact, but I think Ross Carr just kind of had his momentum took him out of bounds anyway.
Froling back defensively for Cedar Falls. And that'll do it for the third quarter. Warriors on the move, trying to put their first points of the ball game on the board. Rob Brooks and Jerry Koala back at Kingston Stadium. Our last game here at Kingston this year.
Sad, isn't it?
Just, especially this year. It's just flown right by. It does every single year, but the only potential of 7 games versus 9, it is really cruising on by. And the pass is caught by Blank. Down to the turf to get it.
Nice athlete. He really is. He was on the outside of the receiving core, and he just does an out pattern about 12, 15 yards downfield. Ortiz doing a nice job of delivering a good ball.
And he's gaining momentum. Ross Carr picks it and gets into the end zone.
Pass for number 4, Reed Ortiz, complete to number 2, Darren Ross Carr for the Warrior touchdown.
So the Warriors on the board.
I see it on the outside. Just a swing pass to him. He was able to pick up off of the turf. And he was able to read nicely. He had some good blocks. And, you know, Ross Carr's got some good wheels, so he's going to win a lot of foot races.
So Washington.
Encroachment on the defense. After distance to the goal. On track.
So encroachment called again, the 3rd time on Cedar Falls. Just on this drive alone.
Looks like the Wash offense is going to hit the field again, try to get a 2-point conversion out of this.
Looked like they were lining up that way even before. An odd-looking formation.
The old polecat. No, that's what they call us, polecat.
Now more traditional, half the distance to the goal line. Thompson right up the middle, and he will easily get in for the 2-point conversion.
Swings the point after attempt, good for 2 points.
So now 41-8. Nice drive by the Warriors.
Yeah, excellent. 8 plays, 65 yards, and they nice little mix of run and pass. Again, Ross Carr doing an excellent job of picking that up just before it hits the turf. Got some nice blocking on the outside. And the short gain for the score. Well, look at that offensive line surge. Giving Thompson a chance to run into the end zone on the 2-point conversion untouched.
Ross Carr is 2nd receiving touchdown of the season. Had a good year a season ago. So the Warriors score in the 4th quarter. Remember, they had been shut out the last 2 ball games. 6-0 they won at Marshalltown, and then lost against Dubuque Senior 31-0, and then Davenport Assumption last Saturday in this building 35-0. It was 13 straight quarters in which the Warriors had not scored a touchdown.
The competition has a lot to do with that, you know, and sometimes you get pressing things a little bit too much just to try to get those scores, and other things go awry.
Hepner. He gets to the 30. Shoved back at about the 33-yard line. McBride, among others, they're on special teams.
We'll see if this defense of Cedar Rapids Washington can pick up some of that momentum that the offense has started. Maybe keep Cedar Falls to a 3-and-out here.
Mo Blue. Coached in the Shrine Bowl as an assistant a couple of years ago. And Cedar Falls will keep it on the ground. Wicker's still in the game at quarterback, so doesn't sound like Cedar Falls has much interest to really try to get up and down the field. They did plenty of that in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. They raced out to the 41-0 lead, virtue of some excellent execution, some good plays, big plays that scored, some excellent defense. Yeah, they're going to take their top skills people and just pull them off the field for now. Get them ready for next week.
Move a little bit. That guy got a little twitchy.
Ernst. He's got big play potential. Gets out near midfield before Mason McDowell brings him down.
That sweep action to the wide side of the field. He's just looking for a gap to run through. Once he finds it, you see him burst right through there. That's just good instinctive running.
Not sure he wanted to come out of the game.
As I look at that offensive line for Cedar Falls, they've got all second-team people in there. I wouldn't want to come out of the game either, especially for as little time as I get the way it is.
And Cedar Falls takes time out.
But I think it's an honor and a issuance of respect for Ernst to go in there and do what he's doing because of what Ryan Ostrich had done in front of him. He wants to keep that going. And he realizes for him to be able to get any of that playing time, Ostrich has to have the game that he does, as does the Cedar Falls Tiger football team.
And Ernst just a junior, so he might be the guy next year. Don't forget, Talk Sports every Tuesday night at 6:30. Kevin Dolan and me. Cyclones got a big football game coming up.
They certainly do.
Oklahoma.
I look forward to that.
And then Texas Tech. Be an interesting race in the Big 12.
A lot of good football teams in that Big 12. Iowa State, one of them. I think they've got a nice squad.
There's a nice bounce back victory at TCU.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially after having 2 weeks to gnaw on that loss against Louisiana. Flip to Alex Schmidt, and he gets into Warrior territory. Brought down by Shaw.
Jet sweep action. Again, Cedar Falls is doing a nice job of getting their blocks in the right position so he could run through it.
And bouncing it outside is Michael. And he turns up. Flag comes up.
Yeah, McBride was being held, and then he got tackled as he was trying to work his way away from the offensive lineman. Tight end, actually.
Well, the way Watts McBride has been flying around this football field, I don't blame him.
That's the only way to stop him. You'll see it right to the left of your screen. You see him right there. He's taken down. And the flag started to fly, and 10-yard holding penalty.
So now 2nd and 16. And the pass is caught. A short gain for Nolan North.
Just a safety valve passing. Don't need to go deep. Trying to move the ball forward. Bring back some of the yardage that they lost. Nice coverage out there by defensive back
Jaden Harris.
Right on top of it.
The Warriors get a stop here. They get the football back. And Wicker is hammered to the ground by Riley. We know he can hit.
Well, that had to hurt a little bit. Winker
did a good job to hang on to the football.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a wonder he had to be able to see him coming a little bit. That pump fake allowed Riley to get to him. Take him down for a sack.
So Ferson in punt formation. Cedar Falls letting that clock run. Snap at 1 on the play clock. And Max Bjornson will let this one roll, and it'll go inside the 20. Another pretty good punt by Ferson.
And he got a good roll on top of that.
Good for 45 yards.
Into the wind, into a wind that's out there, but he had a nice roll down that right sideline until it skipped out of bounds. Let's see if the Warriors can keep that offensive surge going that they did in their last possession. That was a 9-play, 65-yard possession that ended up in the 8-yard touchdown pass to Ross Carr.
And even did some good things in the previous possession. The quicker tempo has helped. There's some backup players in there for Cedar Falls, but we're still doing some positive things. Blank back in there at quarterback. Swarmed under at the 22.
Wash wasn't fooled at all by the run action into the middle.
Adam Hansen at the tackle.
And the wide side of the field to work with. They converged on him quite nicely.
Here's Ross Carr. And he gets out to the 35. Carried a couple of Cedar Falls Tigers with him.
Same play they scored on in the touchdown. Just a swing pass out to him, and then he just uses the blocking and his ability to get downfield.
Blank. To Bjornson. And he fumbles, but the ball goes out of bounds, so Warriors will keep it.
Again, they're rolling out. They got trips formation to the right side, so each of those receivers is doing a short pattern, and all Blank does is just pick out the one who's open, and there are two of them open on that particular possession or play.
4 receivers. Blank, the keeper, turns the corner and gets inside the 40. Or he's brought down by Cole Froling.
Well, you got to admire the poise of the sophomore Blank out there at quarterback, for what he's been able to do to move this Wash team downfield.
Now both the quarterbacks, Ortiz and Blank, double at the wide receiver position. And Max Bjornsson inside the 25.
Quick pace offense going here. Doesn't give Cedar Falls a chance to get set up in their defense. Kind of got them back on their heels a little bit.
Tackled by number 10, Luke Eller.
Luke Eller with the tackle. Mike out to Hare, DeMarcus Hare inside the 20.
Number 17, Michael Blank, complete to number 6, DeMarcus Hare.
Aiden Hansen with the stop.
Russell and number 41, Aiden Hansen. Second down and 5.
Warriors going quickly. And Blank just takes off.
Carried by number 17, Michael Blank.
Tackled by Sam Menon.
And that allows your running game to pick up a little bit when the passing game has moved the ball downfield. It's got Cedar Falls kind of back on its heels and looking for the pass more than the run. And they throw a good running play at him.
There's Bjornsson. Gets a nice block and into the end zone for a touchdown.
The same play that they had scored on previous with Ross Carr, they do it now with Bjornsson.
And that's his first touchdown of the year.
You'll see Blank with the pass out to the left side, getting some nice blocking by Ross Carr. How about that for return help for your teammate?
Yeah, really good seal out there by Ross Carr. For 2 again. And that'll be movement on Cedar Falls.
Encroachment. Defense, number 87. Half of this to the goal for the try.
Well, that's not going to serve well for these reserves that are in there for Cedar Falls, because you can't be on the field if you're not able to have enough discipline to be able to hold your position and play your assignment.
Jabari Dobbs for the 2-point conversion. So 4:39 left to go. Warriors have put 16 points on the board. Cedar Falls on its way to victory number 3. Max Bjornsson, the senior. And older brother Clayton was a good wide receiver for the Warriors. On the move is Carter Ernst. Well, he's not afraid to go hit a few people, is he?
No, he's going to get his chance out there. He's make a little contact.
You know, Cedar Falls, with that week off, which Brad Remmert said felt really strange last Friday not being at a football game, and you imagine what some of the other coaches that have been out longer than that have felt getting used to Friday nights. But they had a little fun last Friday. Had a draft. Captains drafted 6 different teams, as Ernst will pick up a yard. 6 different teams, and just kind of had competitions against each other, throwing, kicking, obstacle course. And there was a pretty good incentive, too, because the team that finished last did the most conditioning, and the team at the top did the least.
It's amazing that the reward is conditioning.
Well,
but I think it broke up the monotony of football, and I don't mean that
just
in a
have
bad
a little
way.
fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I think maybe we've all learned from what's happening in our society, to be able to live and almost having to create more.
Ernst turns the corner and gets out close to midfield, not far from breaking it. But good pursuit by Miles Thompson.
Because sometimes you can get so focused on preparing with football that it's almost overkill at times and can be overwhelming. You got to kind of break that edge a little bit, open it up and have some fun. And if this is the end result of the, last Friday, I think Brad Remmer's going to do that more often.
And had a very good week of practice. And did against Hempstead, too. Dubuque Hempstead, along with Dubuque Senior, good football teams. Ernst. And he's tripped up behind the line of scrimmage. A couple flags come out.
Yeah, and although that, Wallard is a 3A team, we saw them last weekend, and they're a fairly good football team. So Dubuque, City of Dubuque.
Defense, number 5. 15-yard penalty. First down.
So that'll go against Washington. And then you look at what Western Dubuque has done past couple of years.
Yeah, as they work their way up into 4A and become part of that large school family.
There's the trip.
He slipped and tripped, and next thing you know, he's got flags coming his way.
Their carry for Jacob Michael. Ball came loose. But I think the officials ruled that Michael was down.
Well, Wash has given a good effort here. We've seen them the surge here this entire second half. They've scored a couple of touchdowns and 2 different 2-point conversions. The defense has stepped it up a little bit. This is what they need to do at the beginning of the football game. Can't have the big long plays that Cedar Falls had. Give them that big jump and a good lead to begin the game.
Warriors had to almost be stunned how this game started. Winker inside the 30 does a good job. Get both hands on the football, covered up. The last thing you want is a turnover.
Yeah, it was a stunning start. I'm sure Cedar Falls, they just want to execute plays, make yardage. All of a sudden you turn 3 plays into big yardage and scores. Kind of, loosens you up a little bit to play. You got a nice lead. Cedar Falls, good prominent football program. They're not going to lose a lot of leads when they're up 21 points.
Thompson with another tackle. Michael. And who will get the first down? So Cedar Falls, the second team, putting a nice drive together.
Yeah, they're starting to get into a little bit of rhythm. They don't get a lot of, the only time they really get to see the field is in practice. You get into those tight ball games, and a lot of these players will never see the field during a game. And so, yes, they kind of getting themselves into a rhythm.
But many juniors that get an opportunity next year. Michael fights for a couple of yards. McBride, another tackle.
Certainly Brett Remmer is enjoying what he's seeing out of his juniors. And, when you're seeing that kind of performance out of junior class, you know that the future has kind of a bright light that you're going to follow.
When you talk about consistency, Cedar Falls has been just about as consistent a program as you're going to find in the state of Iowa.
Absolutely.
Don't have the state titles that some other teams do, but boy, they are in the conversation just about every year.
Every year. They play themselves into, they've won one championship, Rob, but they've played for 7. So that tells you they've got 6 second-place finishes over the years.
Ernst with the carry.
Brett Rimmert had one of them.
And bring that out, too, with trips to the Unidome, their home field.
Home field, yeah, it's no question. They're a top 5, top 10 program all across the state of Iowa.
And the Warriors have been to the state title game a couple times.
Yeah.
Elusive state title.
It's so difficult to get there and to win it.
Ernst, all he sees is red jerseys, and finally brought down at the 30-yard line by Riley. And that'll be the final play of the ball game. All Cedar Falls in the first half. Warriors did some good things in half number 2. Cedar Falls now 3-2 on the season. Washington falls to 3-3. We'll be back to wrap it up from Kingston after the break. High school football on Mediacom MC22 is brought to you by McGrath Family of Dealerships, 5 Seasons Tire, the Tom Riley Law Firm, Collins Community Credit Union, Heartland Hearing Center, and by Extreme, powered by Mediacom. 41-16, Cedar Falls over the Washington Warriors, and Jerry, it was that offensive explosion in the first quarter. Not only the job by the offense for Cedar Falls, but took advantage of a couple of mistakes by the Warriors, and the game was basically won in the first 12 minutes.
2 plays and 14 points for Cedar Falls. They had 21 before 5 minutes had gone by. Yeah, they really put together a nice offensive game. Their defense stepped up as well to shut down Cedar Rapids Washington, built it to 41-0, and just kind of cruised the rest of the way.
Thanks to our entire MC22 crew and my broadcast partner, Jerry Kowala. Tomorrow, we will have the Prairie Hawks, and good to see the Iowa City schools back at it. The Iowa City Liberty Lightning, Prairie and Liberty. I'm Rob Brooks. Thanks so much for watching, and good night from Kingston Stadium.